Welcome back to our channel, friends. Today is a beautiful day to dive into the latest drama unfolding in Port Charles. And let me tell you, my heart has been racing nonstop just thinking about what is coming next. I have been watching Elizabeth Baldwin for so many years, and if there is one thing I know deep down in my bones, it is that you can never, ever fool her nursing instincts. She has this incredible, almost magical ability to see right through the medical charts and look at the actual human being lying in the bed. Lately, I have been watching her put the pieces together regarding Jack Brennan and Drew Kane, and I am just vibrating with excitement over her brilliant detective work. When Elizabeth started comparing Brennan's miraculous, speedy recovery over at Turning Woods with Drew's heartbreaking deterioration at home, you could just see the light bulb go off in her head. It was one of those moments where I actually caught myself nodding at the screen, cheering her on, because we all know something is terribly, terribly wrong in that house. Let us just take a moment to think about the sheer terror of Drew's situation, because it honestly keeps me up at night. The poor man is trapped inside his own body, completely incapacitated, yet his mind is sharp enough to try and blink an SOS signal when people like Liesl Obrecht are in the room. It just breaks my heart into a million pieces to see a strong, vibrant man reduced to a prisoner in his own home. And the worst part is that he is entirely at the mercy of the person who put him there. Every time I see Willow Kane hovering over him, playing the role of the devoted, exhausted caregiver, a cold shiver runs down my spine. We all remember the sweet, angelic school teacher she used to be, but that woman is gone. What we are seeing now is a desperate, cornered person who is willing to do unthinkable things to protect her own freedom, even if it means slowly destroying a man she once cared for. Elizabeth's realization that Drew is not suffering from a normal stroke is nothing short of a television masterpiece. She has seen enough medical anomalies in her time at General Hospital to know when the math simply does not add up. Brennan was hit with the exact same mysterious symptoms, yet he bounced back quickly once he was in a safe, controlled medical environment. Drew, on the other hand, is getting worse by the day despite receiving around-the-clock care. I just love how Elizabeth's mind works. She did not just shrug it off as bad luck, she dug deeper. She realized that the only difference between Brennan and Drew is their environment. Brennan was removed from the source of the poison, while Drew is sleeping right next to his. When Elizabeth finally formed the theory that there is something in that house keeping Drew sick, I could feel the tension radiating through the screen. She knows, with that fierce, protective intuition of hers, that Willow is the common denominator. It is such a heavy burden for Elizabeth to carry, knowing that she is racing against the clock to save a man's life. I can only imagine the sleepless nights she must be having, running the scenarios over and over in her head, confiding in Dante, and trying to figure out how to expose a woman who has everyone else in town completely fooled. Willow has always hidden behind this mask of purity and innocence, which makes her the perfect villain in this scenario. Who would ever suspect the sweet, soft-spoken Willow of methodically poisoning a man to keep him quiet? But Elizabeth sees her. Elizabeth sees right through the facade, and that is what makes this upcoming confrontation so incredibly thrilling. I am absolutely on the edge of my seat waiting for Elizabeth to take action, because she has made it clear that she is going to be the one to get Drew out of that house. She is not going to wait for the police to build a slow case, and she is not going to wait for Willow to make a mistake. Elizabeth is a woman of action, especially when a patient's life is on the line. The thought of her marching into that house, looking Willow dead in the eye, and demanding that Drew be moved to a real hospital gives me absolute chills. It is going to be an all-out war between two fiercely determined women, and I am here for every single second of it. Elizabeth has the righteous fury of a healer who has sworn to do no harm, while Willow has the frantic, dangerous energy of a woman who is about to lose everything. Just think about the psychological warfare that is going to take place when these two finally clash. Willow is already unraveling at the seams. She is carrying the massive, suffocating guilt of shooting Drew, the constant terror of him waking up and exposing her, and now the added pressure of Jack Brennan breathing down her neck with his dark, twisted offers of a partnership. Willow is backed into a corner. And as we all know, a cornered animal is the most dangerous kind. I find myself shouting at the screen, warning Elizabeth to be careful, because Willow has already proven that she is capable of attempted murder. If she feels that Elizabeth is about to blow her entire life apart, there is no telling how far she will go to silence her, too. The stakes have genuinely never been higher. If Elizabeth succeeds in her mission to rescue Drew, it is going to set off a chain reaction that will completely shatter Port Charles. The moment Drew is out of that toxic environment and his system begins to clear, he is going to regain his voice. And when he does, the truth about the shooting, the drugging, and the months of silent torture will finally come pouring out. I can hardly wrap my head around the absolute disaster that is waiting for Willow. Her marriage, her family, her reputation, everything she has desperately tried to preserve through these horrible actions will turn to dust in an instant. It is a tragedy of her own making, but it is still so breathtaking to watch it unfold. I have to applaud the writers for building this tension so beautifully. They have taken Elizabeth, a legacy character with such a rich history of compassion and strength, and pitted her against a newer character who has slowly descended into darkness. It feels like a classic soap opera showdown, rooted in deep emotional stakes rather than just flashy action. Elizabeth is not fighting for money or power. She is fighting for the basic human dignity of a man who has been stripped of everything. Her determination to rescue Drew is a testament to the core of who she is. She is a protector, a healer, and a fierce advocate for those who cannot speak for themselves. As I watch Willow scramble to maintain her perfect little life, I cannot help but feel a strange mix of pity and horror. How does she sleep at night? How does she look at herself in the mirror, knowing that she is actively suppressing Drew's recovery with every dose she secretly administers? It is a chilling portrayal of how one terrible decision can snowball into a lifetime of deceit. Willow thought she could control the narrative, but she severely underestimated Elizabeth Baldwin. You simply do not mess with Elizabeth's patience and expect to get away with it. The impending clash between them feels like a thunderstorm brewing on the horizon, dark and heavy and impossible to avoid. I keep picturing the moment Elizabeth finally crosses the threshold of that house to take Drew away. The atmosphere is going to be so thick you could cut it with a knife. Willow will undoubtedly try to play the victim, using her soft voice and tearful eyes to manipulate the situation, claiming that Drew is too fragile to be moved. But Elizabeth is going to stand her ground. I can just see the fire in her eyes as she refuses to back down, armed with her medical knowledge and her unshakable moral compass. It is going to be a masterclass in tension, and I know I am going to need a whole box of tissues to get through it. The beauty of this storyline is how it ripples out to affect everyone else in town. Dante is already getting suspicious thanks to Elizabeth sharing her theories, and once the police start looking closely at Willow's timeline, her house of cards is going to collapse spectacularly. Michael is busy running his own dark schemes, completely unaware of the absolute monster his wife has become behind closed doors. The sheer irony of it all is just delicious. Everyone is so caught up in their own dramas, while right under their noses, a terrifying hostage situation is playing out in plain sight. Elizabeth is the only one who has managed to cut through the noise and see the truth, and that makes her the undeniable hero of this chapter. As we brace ourselves for the explosive episodes ahead, I find myself completely consumed by this storyline. It is everything we love about daytime television: the high-stakes medical mysteries, the shocking betrayals, and the fierce, unstoppable heroines who refuse to let evil win. Elizabeth's journey from a curious nurse to a frontline warrior fighting for Drew's life is a story that will undoubtedly go down in Port Charles history. I cannot wait to see how she outsmarts Willow, how she orchestrates the rescue, and how she finally brings Drew back into the light. It is going to be an emotional, heart-stopping ride, and I am so grateful to be sharing every thrilling moment of it with all of you.